Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us from all over the place. It looks like we have a lot of East Coasters joining us and Canadians. It seems like the consensus is it's really cold everywhere across the globe. I'm joining you from San Francisco, and I have Gala Magriñá joining us from New York City. Thank you so much for being with us, Gala. And today we're going to talk about a couple of her tips for developing holistic spaces for clients. And my name is Risa Eldon, and I am the head of partnerships for Ivy, a community and business management tool to help home design professionals really manage all of the administrative tasks of your design business, from proposals to time tracking to purchase orders to project management, managing your vendors, your clients, all of the moving parts to help you make more money. And I'm just so thrilled to be hosting you today, Gala, because this is a topic that we don't hear a lot about. And I think, as we were discussing earlier, it's really important to realize that what is the point of you doing what you do? Yes, you love to design and you're a designer, but there's also a whole different element in what makes a space really a space for your client. So before I pass the show over to you, I want to give you a little bit of Gala's background. So Gala works with companies that want to bring their brands to life in retail, wholesale, showroom, or an office environment, and that want to work with a no-nonsense interior design team that is able to clearly chart the best way forward. Gala's been around in business for almost a decade and currently based in New York. And she has access to artists, illustrators, carpenters, architects, local artisans, and cutting edge technology. And then she has a training certificate in holistic interior design and mindfulness, which ensures that every space that her firm creates is unique, customized, layered with experiential moments, and just as it's meant to be. So without further ado, I will pass over the show to you, Gala, and thank you again for joining us today.
Thank you, Risa, and thank you, Ivy, for having me. It's great to be here. Thanks for tuning in to Designer Tips for Developing Holistic Spaces for Clients. My name's Gala. I am the principal and founder of Gala Magriñá Design. And as Risa said, we are a New York City-based commercial interior design agency specializing in retail, offices, hospitality spaces, and select residential spaces. Really just, if we like you, we'll do it. I am certified in holistic interior design and Feng Shui, and I am also a Vedic meditator. So I practice meditation daily. It helps me stay grounded, positive in this crazy world. And I'll be talking a little bit about that in a bit. So how we approach design at GMD is really, we're all about merging the cool and the beautiful with the holistic and the mindful, and together really creating powerful spaces that have the potential to transform our clients' lives. So it's not just beautiful, but it's also transformative. And today you're going to learn a little bit about how to do that. So let's start with the agenda. We're going to talk about what holistic interior design is. And then from there, I'm going to share my 10 holistic interior design tips that are easy to apply, easy to do, straight out of my Beyond Spaces manifesto. Beyond Spaces, my blog, where I write about all this kind of stuff. And then from there, I'm going to share some resources so that you can dive deeper, not only in your work with some of these certifications, if you're interested, but also at home and what you can do for yourself in terms of self-care and getting yourself to a place of feeling good and want to practice all these things. And then finally, we'll have some Q&A. So really, my goal today is to give you a quick overview of some of the different holistic interior design practices that exist. And also, more importantly, to make you think about physical space in a different and more expansive way. I want you to walk away from this webinar feeling inspired, transformed, and just a little bit curious about a new way to approach your interior design practice. I'm going to be sharing a lot of information with you, so I don't want you to get overwhelmed. I really encourage people, if you're taking notes, to not take any notes and just sit back, hang, listen, and then whatever charms and excites you, follow that and do that. So if that's 2 tips out of 10, totally fine. You want it to be easy and effortless and not like, and I have to do this. Okay, so let's start. What is holistic interior design? To me, holistic interior design means looking beyond the physical world of furniture and decor and looking at things like your client's goals, the energy that exists within a space, sustainability, and also reconnecting with nature and ways that you can help your client reconnect with nature. All of these things are going to create more energetically balanced, healthy, and get back to what I was saying before, powerful spaces. And why nature? I'm not trying to sound like hippy dippy, woo woo, or anything like that. But the truth is that hundreds of years ago, we lived in nature. We lived close to nature, and our bodies reflected nature's cycles and rhythms. So the perfect example of that, winter. We gathered food, we hibernated, we didn't come out. Now it's winter, 7 a.m., you're up, you're going to soul cycle, you're having a latte, you're going to work for 9 hours, you're going to have dinner and cocktails. Winter does not stop us anymore, but there is that feeling and that sensation of sometimes just wanting to step off the hamster wheel and, curl up with your blanket and just chill. And we fight that a lot. So that's a perfect example of how we are disconnected from the cycles and rhythm of nature. And because of that lost connection, it brought a whole bunch of physical and mental problems to society. So it's really important as holistic interior designers to make that reconnection again and bring nature back into the space as much as possible. Okay, so this is an amazing fact that I want to share with you guys to make you all feel very special. And this is from the Global Wellness Institute. So our homes, communities, and our surrounding environment directly affect our daily motivations, behaviors, and lifestyle. And these factors determine 80 to 90% of our health outcomes. So I just want you to think about how much we can positively impact people's lives as designers, and also the responsibility we have when we start a new project to remember this, and that we are literally shaping people's lives. This is a little diagram I like to share, and it's basically showing you a macrocosm and a microcosm. So macrocosm, you have universe, God, consciousness, creator, whatever you believe in, whatever you want to call it, that created the earth and what we're experiencing. And on the other side of that, you have interior designers and architects, and we are creators of spaces. So when you look at it like that, again, I think I just want to drive home the point of the responsibility that we have as creators of spaces for human beings, because we're really affecting people's lives. So knowing all of this, how do we go deeper than just surface in our interior design and really embrace that responsibility that we have? So now we're going to jump into my Beyond Spaces manifesto. And number one, we're going to talk about inner equals outer. So our home or office is a reflection of who we are as individuals. And by reading someone's home, you can get a better sense of who they are and what they might need and want to become. And by understanding that connection between inner and outer worlds, we're becoming more than just designers. So because our spaces reflect who we are as individuals, you might walk into a perfectionist house and their home is perfectly decorated, highly organized, and it almost feels too perfect and constricting. Versus you walk into an artist's home and it's layered and messy and you feel chaotic and you're like, get me the hell out of here. So that first client walkthrough is really your chance to kind of read between the lines and see what's going on, and start to understand who your client is. And then once you understand who they are, start asking some of those deeper questions about where they want to go to or who they want to become. And that is really going to help you do that deeper work of transforming what I call your inner self, by designing their outer worlds. The other thing you want to do is you want to include design elements that are going to help clients reach their goals. So reflect where they are and then who they want to become, where they want to go. For example, you have a male client and he has an apartment that looks like a college dorm and he comes to you for a makeover. So you could easily do a bachelor pad, but you use your intuition, you start asking some of those deeper questions, and he says to you, you know what, actually, I want to attract love into my life. I want a wife, I want kids, what can we do? So instead of doing the typical modern bachelor pad, you do something that's modern, still is masculine, but also comfortable and inviting, that will make a female that comes into his life happy and comfortable, right? So that's one of the things you can do. The other thing you could do is practice some Feng Shui tips about attracting love that I really love. And they are very common sense. When I learned them, I was like, how did I not know this before? Think about this before, but it's very simple. It's just about creating space. So you have his closet, you leave 1 foot of hanging space free and 1 dresser drawer free. And what is that doing? It's creating physical space for somebody to come into his life. The same thing you can do if there's a full bed, a queen size bed, or a king size bed. You tell your client, sleep on one side of the bed, again, leaving space for somebody else to come into that person's life. And by creating that space, you're creating that intention and you're attracting it. So these kinds of things and this kind of level of mindfulness and attention and way of thinking is really taking you beyond the realm of designer into the transformer of lives, which is super, super powerful. Okay, next, positive vibes only. So as a creator of the space you're working in, the energy that you put into the project is going to become a part of that space. So we want to make it positive. And how do we do that? We hire good subcontractors, people to work on the project. You want to make sure that you yourself are good, positive, centered, and you're bringing good energy to the project, operating at your best. And then lastly, you want to focus on process and final outcome equally. So in this Instagrammable world where the image and the final product is everything, that's great. We need it. We need our likes. We need the publicity. But sometimes because of that, we lose track of the process. And this is something that I tell my clients in our pitch meetings. I say, you know what? We're going to deliver a beautiful space. It's going to look exactly like the renderings. But we're going to make that process for you just as enjoyable. And all of that energy and goodness through the duration of your project is going to go right into your space and make your space feel that much even better. All right, 3, energy. This is my favorite one. Let me take a sip of water. Okay, so just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not there. All right, so ways that we can work with energy as holistic interior designers. If you are breaking new ground on a project, you want to give thanks and blessings to the land that you're building on. This is your blank canvas. It's the foundation of your structure. Without it, you wouldn't have a building or a home. So it's really just taking a second to stop and say thank you. It's very similar to mealtime grace, right? When a family sits down, you pause instead of diving right in and you say thank you. And the food tastes that much better because of it. So again, as we've developed more modern societies, urban development, cities, we've really been disconnected from nature and we've lost the connection to the land. And doing this is just a step, once again, to reconnect to the land and reconnect with nature. The other thing we want to do, if we're working in existing space, so not from the ground up, you want to do a space clearing to clear out old, stagnant energy. And the best way to describe this is if you've ever walked into a room where 2 people are having an argument or they've just finished having an argument and you walk in and you're like, get me out of here. That is energy, that's stagnant energy. So in a lot of these spaces that we're working in, we don't know who's been in them before. We don't know what's happened. And we want to set up our clients to succeed in that space. So what you can do, you guys are probably all very familiar at this point with sage and Palo Santo. They're smudging tools that are used to clear out old energy. And if If you're interested in this, after I tell you about it, I definitely recommend taking a workshop or a class because it's energy and you want to know what you're doing. If you don't feel comfortable, you can hire a Feng Shui consultant or a shaman and they can do it for you. But it's really simple. The first thing you want to do is open all of your windows because we need that energy to go somewhere. And I like to start off with a bell. So I will walk around the interior perimeter of the property that I'm working in with a bell. It's about this big, and I am just shaking up old stagnant energy. I focus a lot of this in the corners where energy tends to pool and build up, and I'm just walking around like a crazy woman, shaking energy, shaking energy, shaking energy, getting the vibrations going out the window. So that's breaking it up. And then step two, I'm going to walk around the inside of the house once again with my sage or Palo Santo. If you're just starting out, sage burns a lot easier than Palo Santo, so you may want to use that. And I'm just doing it along the walls, letting the smoke gather again in a lot of the corners. And when I'm finished with that, I like to add one more piece to it. And that is you've cleared the space out. And now you want to be really intentional about what comes back into the space in terms of energy, right? So I just like to walk around and infuse it with an intention. And it could just be very as easy as like, I want peace and happiness for my clients, or I want this home to be a sanctuary and radiate good energy to everybody that walks in. Super simple, but very intentional. And it really, really works. And then the last thing that we want to do is check for electromagnetic radiation. And you can do that with an EMF reader or dowsing rods. These happen both naturally and man-made, and they're disruptive to our systems. Continued exposure to them has been linked to chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, and cancer. So how to avoid them. Naturally, you use the EMF reader. I walk in a grid on the floor of the home that I'm in or building. So in a grid, back and forth, and then at a diagonal. So I'm covering all of the floor space. And the EMR reader or the dowsing rods will indicate if there is any geopathic stress or underground water. And those are the two ways that it happens naturally. If my meter picks it up, there's nothing I can do about it to stop it. But what I can do is make sure that I don't put a sofa, a bed, a desk, or anything that my client's going to spend a lot of time at to reduce that continued exposure. The other thing you can do, if you are at your client's home or office, a lot of the time, this will probably happen more in a home and they have pets, you can watch where their pets go. So dogs and cats naturally know where the best energy in the house is. And if you see them avoiding particular areas, it's probably because there's electromagnetic radiation. So that's really a cool tip. And then the man-made devices that have electromagnetic radiation are basically all of our electronics. So microwaves, televisions, computers, our cell phones, if you live close to a power line. And for these, there are some things you can do. You want to try and use wired connections wherever possible. I know that's hard. So like an Ethernet connection, your mouse, your keyboard's wired, your headphones, all of that helps. Do not sleep with your phone next to your bed, especially if you have problems sleeping, because this disrupts sleep. And then you can also work with crystals. So shungite and tourmaline are great crystals that block EMRs. I've seen crystal workers just place them next to their Wi-Fi routers or next to their electronics. You could just also use them as decor pieces. That's all really helpful. And then the last thing you can do, if possible, and if it works for your floor plan, is align the bed in the home in a north-south direction. So the head is at the north and the feet is at the south, and that's in line with the Earth's natural magnetic field. Okay, it's a lot to take in, so I hope you guys got it all. Next. 4, good materials. So this is an easy one. Obviously, wherever we can, we want to spec non-toxic, natural, sustainable materials. And this is just so our clients are living and working in the healthiest spaces possible. And as designers, we're respecting the earth and its natural resources as much as possible. So a lot of us get to spec construction materials. We have things like Eco Rock drywall, low VOC paints are great. Obviously, natural materials like wood and stone, and then carpets, rugs, fabrics made from recycled fibers or natural fibers are great. And if this doesn't go to your design aesthetic, because I know that this sort of sustainable furniture and decor has a certain look to it, if that's not part of how you design or how your design looks or what your client's asking for, then just try and work with companies that are reputable, that believe in craftsmanship, that are striving towards sustainability in their products, and that treat their workers well. Whenever possible, again, a lot of the times as interior designers, we're in positions to recommend contractors and architects. So if you can align yourselves with ones that believe in sustainability and that might have experience working in LEED or well-certified projects, that is awesome. Another easy thing you can do is just purchase non-toxic cleaning supplies for your install kit. Recommend those products to your clients. They love good tips from interior designers. And then the last thing you want to do when you put your production timeline together is make sure you have a day or two when construction finishes before you go in for your installation. And if you can, a day from when you're finished to that client walkthrough. I know it's hard because we are always against the clock, but you want to open your windows and you just want to let the space breathe. There are tons of vapors from paint, glue, floors, and furniture. And while they'll continue to be in the space, at the beginning, you just want to get them out as much as possible. Number 5, HVAC and lighting. We want to understand that our choices in lighting, and I'm going to lump natural light and artificial light together, and HVAC have a huge impact on the inhabitants of our spaces and should not be an afterthought. I know interior designers, HVAC and lighting sounds kind of boring, but it's not. You're going to find out why. So again, if we're in a position working with floor plan and layout, we do this already, but we want to maximize that access to natural light in a floor plan. Natural light and natural air is really just an instant uplift for the soul. So however we can expose our clients to that the most is really great. And the other thing we want to do is think about the rooms that we want closer to sunrise, like the bedroom, so you're rising with the sun, and the rooms that you want facing the sunset. So maybe a living room or somewhere that you're going to relax and chill out. Okay, we can also spec fixtures with 3,000 lumens or more. So that's going to give you that warm, yummy lighting as much as possible. I like to stay away from the blues and the fluorescents. I'm sure you guys do too. And then also the other thing we can do if we're working in a space that does not have access to any natural light, we can spec full spectrum light bulbs. And all that means is it's giving you a full spectrum of light, much like the sun does, which the body needs to stay balanced. We should be getting 30 minutes of natural sunlight a day. So if you don't have access to that, your client doesn't, this is a great way to mitigate that. And then lastly, if the budget permits, it's great to work with a lighting designer. They know even more about light than we do. Otherwise, there's some great tools online where you can calculate your lumens versus square footage to ensure that there are no dark areas in your space. And for me, just dark areas, it's a feeling. It just feels kind of just yucky. So I want to make sure that every space is well lit with the type of lighting that it needs. And next, HVAC, and I'm going to lump natural air into this. So this seems pretty common sense, but it's really important. So I want to make sure that we're speccing easy to open windows and window treatments. Our indoor pollution, our indoor air is now more polluted than our outdoor air. And that's even in cities. So when we spec easy to open windows and window treatments, it's really going to encourage our clients to open their windows every day, get natural light, and air out the space, which is really important. The other thing, if we're in a position to do so, is encourage our clients to update old and out of date HVAC systems. So just ones that are more energy efficient, that you also want to make sure that the air is being distributed evenly and that the temperature is as well. So there's no hot spots or no cold spots, but just everything is nice and even. The other thing that we could do is include an air purifier system or unit. And a lot of the times they have the freestanding ones. I like to use those in the bedrooms because that's where people spend the most amount of time in. Those are wonderful. And another thing, and this is kind of cool, not too many people know about this, you could do is work with Foobot. So Foobot is an air quality indicator, and it's just a little device that you set in the room and it connects to your phone. And anytime the air is not good or becomes polluted, it actually sends a message to your phone. So you know, okay, cool, I gotta go open a window. And lastly, plants. So plants are not only are they beautiful, but they remove toxins from the air. They're our biggest natural helpers. And they specifically are really good at removing formaldehyde, which is one of the most common toxins found in indoor air. Comes from our furniture, Kleenex, paper towels, all kinds of things. So whenever possible, plants are a great way to mitigate that. Number 6, biophilic design. This is another big one, so I'm going to take a sip of water. And this is all about, again, going back to nature, bringing nature into the space as much as possible. It's shown to have a myriad of positive effects on people living in the spaces, and it is also going to help bridge that gap of our current disconnection from nature. And the reason why it's so important is because over the past couple of decades, we've become urban dwellers and we have more people living in cities than in the country. And actually, in coming decades, it's projected that up to 70% of the world's population is going to be living in cities. So the need for us as interior designers to bring nature back into spaces and reconnect people with nature is really, really important now for everybody's well-being and also for their health. There are 14 categories of biophilic design, and I'm going to just zero in on a couple that I think are the easiest to implement and also understand. The first is, we talked about incorporating plants for air quality, but this is more of a visual. So seeing plants, even seeing faux plants, or even seeing artwork that depicts nature really helps you. It has all these physical effects. So it drops your blood pressure, your heart rate, you have improved concentration, and in patients exposed to some form of nature, it helps them recover from surgeries quicker than patients that didn't. And there's a study that the Global Wellness Institute put out, a group of patients, I think it was after heart surgery, that were in a room that looked out at a brick wall, and then another set of patients that looked out at a brick wall, but then they could see the top of hedges. So the patients that could see just the top of hedges, so it wasn't a lot, not only recovered from their surgeries faster, but also needed less pain medication to recover. So that just goes to show you how powerful just a visual of nature, even in a piece of artwork, is in a space. The other thing that's great to do if it works with your design aesthetic is incorporate a water feature into your space. So the sounds and the visual of water, it reduces stress, it increases feelings of tranquility, and it lowers your heart rate and blood pressure. All amazing things, and these are just visual cues. It's so simple, and yet it's so profound, and it's having effect on our bodies, which is really cool. Another thing you could do is also incorporate organic and biomorphic shapes into your design. So whether it's wallpaper, light fixtures, art, or furniture pieces, The reason because of this is in nature, there are rarely any straight lines or right angles. So everything is wavy, kind of wabi-sabi. So by introducing organic shapes like that, again, it's another nod to and hint to nature. And then lastly, anywhere you can use natural materials in their raw form, wood slab tables, stonework, all of these are great ways to bring nature inside and reconnect people with nature. Number 7, this is one of my favorites, human connection. So as designers, we want to create spaces that bring people together and easily enable human connection. In this world of Instagram and social media, we're supposed to be so connected. We're really not. So we're making space for people to be in, and let's be intentional about how to get them together in that space. One of the things that we've done in residential is creating a beautiful cell phone Dropbox as a visual cue to put your phone away. And this could be in the dining room, in the kitchen, and it's just telling people to stop, drop it in, reconnect. The other thing you want to do if you're working with floor plan or layout is really try and create ample hangout spaces that everybody loves the design of, that everybody's comfortable in. And whether it's a breakfast nook, a living room, an outdoor fire pit, or adding some stools to your kitchen bar. We all know everybody ends up in the kitchen anyway, so give them some seating and really create space for people to come together. The other thing that we can do, don't tell any of your clients, is we can also make bedrooms smaller and the communal areas a lot larger. And then naturally that's going to make kids and teenagers want to come out of their bedrooms and come into those communal family spaces. Obviously, too, if you're designing for a family, you want to make sure that there's enough seating for everybody to be comfortable and have a seat. And then at work, if you are brought in to the project at the beginning and you're working with an architect on floor plan, we like to work a lot with open stairwells that connect the floors in the middle of the office. Not only does this have health benefits and it encourages people to walk up and down the stairs, but it also encourages chance encounters. So again, we're using and manipulating space to help people come together. The other thing that's become really big right now in office spaces is open workspaces, and we like to use them only when it's appropriate for the job function and the teams, and that the people doing the work need to work communally. If not, it can actually be very distracting. Another trend that we're seeing now in commercial interior design, or we're calling it resimercial design as a nod to residential, is collaborative work areas. So lounges, bar tables, outdoor gardens, where people can come together in a more relaxed setting, connect both for work and personally. So where it's not the water cooler anymore, but we have access now to so many other environments to connect in. And that's wonderful because it encourages us to do it. And then obviously the kitchen, I talked about it before, everybody ends up there anyway. So we're seeing that a lot in commercial spaces, these big kitchens with islands, communal tables, again, bringing everybody together. Food is a great way to bring everybody together. And then the last tip I have, and what we like to do, is incorporate powerful art pieces that spark curiosity and conversation. And a great place to do this is in elevator bays. So I'm in New York City, we go to meetings, we're waiting for the elevator, all of us take out our phones and we're looking at our phones. If you have a wonderful piece of art and somebody's next to you, you're gonna look at it, maybe it's a good quote, and if somebody's there, you're probably gonna start talking to them about it. So this is a great conversation starter and something that you can do as an interior designer to create that human connection in space. Number 8, let's feng shui your space. So we're going to understand how the placement of your client and their options within a space affects their life in different ways. And feng shui just means wind, water. It's based on the Taoist belief and understanding of nature that the land is alive and it's filled with qi. Qi could be, I would just explain it as energy. One of the original applications of feng shui was actually to determine the best burial site so that once that person was buried, it was good for them, but it also brought good fortune to the family. And then from there, they began to use it to create villages and kingdoms and so on and so forth. In modern times, I like to think of Feng Shui as the art of placement, understanding placement of yourselves and your objects within a space, and how that in turn affects your life. So Feng Shui is a year-long certification. I'm going to give you my top 5 that I think are easy to understand and easy to implement. The first being clutter. Feng Shui does not mess around with clutter, kind of like Marie Kondo. The idea here is if you have clutter, chi and energy can't flow around your space, and that's what we want. We want it to flow everywhere. And clutter, the belief behind clutter is also that if you have a lot of belongings or clutter in your space, then there's no room for new things to come into your life. So the minute that you get rid of that clutter, again, you're creating space for something new and wonderful to come into your life. I love that. Number 2, chi. So it's energy. We want to make sure it flows freely, tongue twister, through the house. A lot of us store things under our beds. It's great not to, just so it can just flow under pieces of furniture throughout the home. And then your door to your home is actually called the mouth of chi. So it's how it enters the home. So you want to make sure that the path leading up to your door is not obstructed, that it's well lit. That's why you see people painting their doors a bright color, because that attracts the energy inside. So you want to be aware of that. And then another thing we look at when we are evaluating rooms and through the lens of Feng Shui is yin and yang. So yin is associated with the feminine, rounder objects, more subtler, softer colors, and yang is associated with the masculine and their bright, energetic colors. So, yin, the kind of yin relaxed design works really well in the bedroom, where we should not be active and just kind of be relaxing, getting ready for bed. And yang works really well in like a home office, where you're going to be doing a lot of work, and you want good energy and lots of energy. Fourth, we have the power of art. So in Feng Shui, we're really intentional and specific about the artwork we put in, the messages, the vibe that it gives out, because it's very powerful, and also where we put it. And 2 of the most important and powerful places to place art are in the foyer, so across from the door when you come in, the first thing you see, and then in your bedroom, the wall that you're facing when you wake up. And not just because you're seeing it every single day. So in terms of using things as designers to transform spaces and transform people's lives, those are wonderful places to put powerful art. Like an inspirational quote, or finding out where your client wants to go, what their goal is, and you can put something there that supports that, and they're going to see it every day, and it's going to be a physical reminder of that. And then lastly, we call them poison arrows. So poison arrows are just sharp corners or overhead beams that are pointing at spaces that you spend a lot of time in. So a sofa, a bed, you just want to make sure, if you can, that it's not under a beam, or that there isn't a large other piece of pointy furniture, and that the point is coming at you. It's like another thing. So my wife, when she washes the dishes, the knives, she puts them in the dish rack pointing up. I'm like, no, those are poison arrows going everywhere. You got to face them down. So that's the best way I can describe it. It's just something that you feel, and I pick up a lot on now that I know about it. Okay, number 9, color. The importance of color and the effect it has on us. So we are reacting to color vibrations all the time, even while we're asleep, not only through our eyes, but through our skin. And color is affecting every single part of our body. So we can use it to help heal, relax. We can also help use it to aid in learning and stimulating the mind. So depending on the color, it does all of these different things. So it's really important to find out what colors resonate with your client and then use them in the space. And that's another way to read your client. If they like, bright yellows and bright oranges, they probably have more yang energy. They're more excited, they're more energetic. And if you have a client that is drawn to more muted colors, they're probably more yin, more grounded, and more balanced. So you want to use those in the space. And lastly, sanctuary. So as designers, we want to create spaces for clients that offer a sense of refuge and sanctuary from today's crazy world. Man, today and age, anxiety and stress and being stressed out has become completely normalized. And it's a state in which many people are living in daily. So back in the day, stress and anxiety, awesome if there's a tiger right next to you and you got to like jam out of there. But on a daily basis, it's doing things to our bodies and our systems that aren't good. And it's not meant to be, you're not meant to be stressed out or anxious all of the time. So as interior designers, this is a huge way we can help people. As the world becomes more polluted and the pace of life more chaotic, creating that life nurturing cocoon for our clients is really a must. And a lot of the time, they probably don't even think they need it. So it doesn't have to be a big thing, especially if you're working in a city with a small space. You can't dedicate an entire room to maybe become a meditation room. But it could just be as simple as an armchair with a throw pillow, looking out a window, maybe some crystals, a candle, to just give your client a space to stop and do nothing. If they meditate, great. But if they're just looking out the window for 5 minutes, not thinking about anything else, you have done your job creating sanctuary. In the office, meditation rooms are great. Nap pods, just any place for employees to just be able to go disconnect for a second. As I say, jump off the hamster wheel and think of nothing. I feel like that's what we need the most today and age. So now that we've talked about all of these things, how do you create a more mindful you to put you in the headspace to practice everything we just talked about and to want to, right? Because we are all under deadlines. We are working really quickly and it's like, oh my God, this is just another thing I have to do. And now I have to feng shui my space. Stop. Well, first of all, you're going to do just what you want to do and what charms you and you're excited and curious about. But there are some things that we can do to become more grounded, more balanced, and get into an energetic space of like, okay, yeah, I like this. I want to do this. So at home, I am a big advocate of meditation. I practice Vedic meditation. So that's that ancient mantra-based meditation that's at the top there. My teacher is Tom Knowles. He is awesome. And there's another mantra-based meditation that I love. It's called Ziva meditation. And it joins meditation with manifestation. So if it's just really good for the modern person. And if you don't want to dive into that yet, Headspace is a wonderful app. They have 5-minute meditations for anything that you would want. And just try that 5 minutes every morning and see how you feel after a week. It has changed my life. I'm more productive, I'm more creative, and I'm just happier. So that is number 1 on my list. Number 2, if any of this excites you or piques your interest, take a class or a workshop. If you're in New York, Open Center is wonderful. And if you are elsewhere in the US, a simple Google search, I'm sure you can find something like Open Center in New York. But Conscious City Guide is great. They send like weekly newsletters of events happening across the US, and they have some really good events as well. Number 3, if you're a reader like me, I'm such a geek. I love reading. I've listed my top 10 transformational books on my blog at Beyond Spaces. And those are books that I started reading like when I was 16 up until now. So they're very easy to understand, going to give you like a great foundation to build on. And they have transformed my life. 4, diet and exercise. I don't need to say much about this, but I notice when I eat healthy and when I'm doing exercise, and it's not a lot of exercise, just like a mile before I go to work, running a mile, I feel so much better and I have so much more energy and I'm just like a more positive person. So whenever you can pay attention to that, it's wonderful. And then number 5, this is a cool morning daily ritual I like to do. So the minute that I open my eyes, I say to myself 5 times, today is going to be a great day. Today's going to be a great day. Today's going to be a great day. And that is starting off my day the minute I come into the awakened state with intention and how I want my day to go. A lot of us check our phones the first thing, and then it's anxiety and text and email. And think about starting your day in that state of mind versus today's going to be a great day times 5. Really different start to the day. So if you can, don't check your phone until you've done some self-care. You've gotten yourself ready. You've had breakfast. I hope that you'll spend at least 5 minutes sitting in silence or meditating. And then yet another intention you can do when you're done meditating is just saying the type of day you want to have. So I finish meditating, keep my eyes closed, and then today I'm going to have a lot of fun at work. It does not have to be complicated. It could be very simple. Mine this morning was, I'm going to give a kick-ass webinar today. Hopefully I am. Number 6, I talked so much about getting into nature. You probably think I'm a big hippie, but there's something called forest therapy. If you are New York City based, my friend Alex runs urban nature walks. And what he does as a forest therapist is take you into nature. And this is just in Central Park, so right in the city, for 3 hours. And he takes you on this tour of nature, has you do all these exercises. And by the end of it, your like brain has like gone down to here, like so super slow thinking, and you're connecting with nature and plants. I started crying. It was so profound. I did not believe in it. I went to it. It's my best friend's husband, and it was amazing. It rocked my world. So I can't say enough good stuff about it. And then lastly, if you want self-care for yourself, one of the holistic transformational coaches that I've worked with, her name's Hassani Reyes. Her website is there. She is a badass. If you feel stuck, if you feel overwhelmed, if you want to try something new in life, she is an incredible coach and intuitive healer. And I cannot say enough good things about her. So check her out. So that's at home, that's for you. At work, if you're interested in anything that I talked about and want to pursue it further, I've listed all of the possible certifications you can get. Holistic interior design, well certification, that's a little bit more technical. Feng Shui certification, you can get certified in crystals. And then this is the website to Biophilia and those 14 categories and patterns. I didn't get in full depth to, but they're great to read and really, really cool. All right. I don't know where we are in time because I can't see anything on my screen, but it is time for questions.
Yay, great. Okay, let me go ahead. Thank you so much. That was awesome. And X out your screen so you can come back so you can see me.
Yay.
And that was really, really awesome and really informative. And I learned so much. Thank you so much, Gala, for all of that information. And as we mentioned, I think I mentioned in the chat, we'll be sharing the last 2 resource slides so that you guys can access that. I love the urban nature walks because even when I'm in New York City for work, I always feel overwhelmed, and I'm going to definitely look that up and send to my team in New York. And I think even if some of those things might seem overwhelming, even if you pick 1 or 2 things on the list to start out with, and this is a good time to be making your goals for 2020, I think that implementing any of these within your own space helps you then transform and take that to your client space. So it's kind of a win-win for everybody. Questions. Let's start out over here. Okay, I like this question. I was going to ask you this. Any specific air purifier that you trust?
I like Molecule. It looks good. It works good. There are definitely some more industrial ones that I've gotten through like engineers, so that I don't know of. So the easiest I would say and the most commercial that you could just pick up and get is Molecule.
Great. That is so crazy that you say that, because I've been getting hit. There's sadly a bunch of fires here. I'm in the Bay Area, and I've been getting hit with this molecule. The way that they advertise it looks so chic. It's so amazing. So now that we're talking about it, we'll probably see it pop up on our Instagram feed.
I'm sure.
Yeah, it looks really, really great. And not so much like, if you have a Sonos speaker or something like that, not so much like it's an air purifier, but like a piece, it blends in kind of to the aesthetic of the room.
Beautiful and holistic, transformational.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, and then somebody had asked, which crystals are you referencing for EMF?
The shungite and tourmaline.
Okay, shungite and tourmaline. Okay, shungite and tourmaline. Great. And then another question, just curious, say you discover EMF at your client's space. Is there anything that can be done to help that?
So we talked about, so naturally with the EMR reader, if you pick it up, you just don't want to, that means that there's geopathic stress underneath, or an underground water stream, or water, and you just don't want to, there's nothing you can do. You just don't want to put a couch or a bed or a desk or anything where somebody's going to be spending a lot of time at. You're okay. And then electronically, if for you guys personally, you can't tell a client this after they've purchased the home, but I would recommend not purchasing or renting a home, apartment, or office. It's very close to power lines. There's nothing you can do about that. And obviously, we have our electronic gadgets everywhere. They're emitting that. So as much as you can eliminate that from your life, use hardwired connections. So a wired mouse, wired earphones, that helps. And it's the levels are low on the electronics. The problem is we have more and more electronics, and we're constantly surrounded by them. So we're trying to just be aware and conscious of that, and reduce that as much as possible.
So are you saying that my favorite headphones that I have here are bad for me?
I see everybody with them hanging in their ears, and I'm like, if only you knew. No, not bad. But again, it's the advent of all of this stuff layered, So if you can, the wired stuff is really, really good.
Yeah, I try to go back, and then once it's very hard. And I personally read your slides before you presented the don't check your phone first thing when you wake up in the morning, and it's a very bad habit that I've been trying to break. And I feel like if you really do put your phone in the other room, I try to do this on vacation, and then I'm still trying to implement it in my day-to-day. It hasn't really worked for me, but I think especially because, and we talk about this, I speak on a lot of speaking engagements at High Point, but like the no texting clause and implementing that with your clients, it's just those basic things, because you're pulled in so many different directions that if you're starting your day with that type of negative energy and somebody needs something for you, especially if you have a family and you have kids, it's like you aren't the best version of yourself if you're automatically picking up your phone, going right into it. So I'm still a work in progress. Hopefully,
you must start with that intention, right? Before you pick up the phone. There you go.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome. Well, I think I got to all of our questions, but there might be one more question. Oh, any info books on Feng Shui that you recommend?
A lot of I recommend finding a good teacher. A lot of the books out there, it's just Feng Shui is very ancient, and it's become modernized. I learned the modern version, particularly because I'm an interior designer and I wanted to relate to interior design. Mm-hmm. But I would learn it directly from a human being. There's no books that I recommend, no.
Great advice. Awesome. Well, I know there were some other questions specific about Ivy. I will make sure to get to those now. And thank you so much, Gala, for joining us. Super informative. Lots to implement. Work in progress. But thank you again, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, everybody. Take care.
Bye. And so if anybody else has any questions about Ivy, I'm here for the next 4 minutes. I'll kind of go through a little bit of a rundown for those of you who don't know about the software and how it can streamline. But like Gala said, there's so many things to do when you are implementing this into your own business. I think the first step is organization of your business. That's why someone who used to run an interior design firm, I'm not a designer. I'm kind of the project manager person behind the scenes. I think it's really instrumental for you and your business to have a core foundation for you and your team to work out of. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Again, we will make sure to share, I know I keep getting a lot of questions, the link so you can rewatch this presentation, and then the last 2 slides will be shared with you as well. Couple things to keep you organized. One thing I really recommend in your contract is to include a no texting clause in your contract, right? Because if your clients are communicating with you at all hours of the day, how can you possibly ever track your time? And texting is a little bit invasive. If it's an email, you have a track record and a chain of that email communication that you can always go back to. With text message, you don't really have that ability. So the first step I always tell designers is whether you're billing out flat fee or whether you're doing hourly, always track your time. You don't want to leave any money on the table. Super easy to do this with an Ivy. You select the project that you're working on, you select the service, and then you can add in your description, set the timer, go to your meeting, stop the timer when you're done. For some people, if they forget to turn their timer off, you can automatically just go in and log your time. Now, you can always mark that not billable. Again, I always recommend tracking your time. Even if you're a builder, it doesn't matter what type of design professional you are, because this helps you reassess and make sure that you're charging enough. Value your time, okay? So what's great here is that I can easily go into my time and expense folder. I can go into the project and I can generate a time billing invoice really quickly. You can also add reimbursable expenses on there if you want. But I hear so many designers complain to me, I'm doing invoicing at 2 a.m. I don't have time to track my time. With Ivy, we try to give you one system where you can kind of operate out of and manage all of those moving parts. So right here, I can just review and send it over to my client. I can have them pay by credit card or bank transfer. Credit card, there's a 3% processing fee, and bank transfer, it's a 1.2% processing fee. Up to you if you want to have the client pay that or if you want to absorb that, totally up to you. What's great about online payments is the money goes directly into your bank account. I can't tell you how much time, I do live in a city, it used to take me to get the check in the mail, take the check, go to the bank, wait for the funds to clear, because I would never, ever purchase any goods for my client before I had that big chunk of money. And so I think it's really important for you to be working as efficiently as possible. Great, got your money, then you can go to the ordering phase. So let's go into a project. I saw some questions come in about this. And what's really lovely about this is that we have built an Ivy clipper, which is just this little extension that nests on your Ivy or on your Chrome browser right here. Very easy to click in, and I can just select down here any alternate images. I just click in, it grabs the image right here, and then I can click into the product title. You just hover over it. I can click into the product cost right here. I just hover over the cost. I can add a markup. I like to say purchase fee. So let's say I get the item for $550. I can add a markup. I can also make sure that that markup is below what the retail price is, what the MSRP is, so the client sees, and then I can automatically see my profit on this item. You can add a client description. You can add a category right here. You can select your vendor right here, pretty quick and pretty easy. And then I can add it directly to a project. I can even add the room, and I can add the additional details. So you can see right here under details, if I just scroll over, let's say it's a 5x8, and then I can add dimensions right there. It will pull that right in. Let's say I want to add the colors. I can add in finish color right there. And if I want to add the materials, I can add the materials in right here. So it's pretty quick, pretty easy. You won't have all those screenshots across your desktop It will give you peace of mind. I'm telling you, I've done this before. So I save that item to the product library. And what's great is that when I go into the project right here, let's go into creating a new proposal for you. That item will actually pop right up into that proposal if I've selected the project name. Again, we are based in the cloud, so this is real time. So anybody on your team, if you have a team between East Coast and West Coast, can be working within Ivy at the same time. You log in via the internet, so you are good to go. I can drop that product in right now that I just clicked, and you also have access to all of your other items. Now, let's say maybe you want to add paint. Ivy is not just for your furniture items. It can be for plumbing, tile, any fixture, anything that you are specifying for this project. You can go ahead and add in, and you can also add images directly from your product library. So it doesn't have to be only from, I get asked this question so many times, it can be your own image as well that you add from your desktop. Okay, this is really amazing because you can also see before you send it out to your client what the markup is. Make sure that there's no, if you're using an Excel spreadsheet, which I used to use, make sure there's no human error, because then you would have to eat the cost, and that's really a shame. So Ivy gives you a lot of flexibility to really manage the proposal, invoice, purchase order, and how you actually run your business, because we know designers all run their businesses very, very differently. So what's great here is that you can allow your client to view the markup percentage if you want them to see. You can allow them to approve or decline per line item. Creates the back and forth between you and your client. And you can also click this button where it says View Tear Sheets, and Ivy will create essentially your presentation for you, okay? With the item name, the room, the cost. If you don't want to have the cost in there, you don't have to. You just click No Pricing. You can add an attachment like your contract or a diagram or a 3D render, whatever you want. And you can really send this out to your client as a full package. So it's really, really nice, really streamlined, and really helps you get to that next step in your business. Once you get all the money, you can go ahead and create your purchase orders and send this out to your vendor through our system. Now, vendors love receiving purchase orders from Ivy. It's very organized. And if you're not sending purchase orders, you should start doing it today so that you can keep track of your client expenses. What's great here is you can plug in your estimated ship date, and then everything falls onto a project schedule so that you know what's happening, when it's coming in, and then you also have a project tracker. This is the heartbeat, the Bible of your project. And I can see a running list. I'm sure many of you are doing this via Excel. Ivy does it for you. And you can see all of the scheduling information. You can add up to 5 of your own custom columns here. And then of course you can export this to Excel or as a PDF for your FF&E schedule. Super helpful, super streamlined, keeps you organized. Anybody from your team can access this. And then of course, you also have created your own product library. So you can reuse item. It saves the link from where you clicked from. It's just very organized. And of course, you can always pull reports for transactions, project payments, purchase orders, so you know where you sit. Ivy does connect with QuickBooks on the back end. It is a one-way sync, which is really helpful. And then you'll also get connected to our curated network of service providers. So if you need a bookkeeper, an accountant, these are all verified through our Ivy expert, our Ivy QuickBooks expert. You can get access to any of these people through our system. Really awesome. You also get access to our Facebook group, which gives you access to our community. Designers are sharing so much information with one another. It's truly amazing and will help you propel your business forward. You'll get access to our other industry webinars. And then with your Ivy account, of course, you get a dedicated account manager that can help work through any of your stuff that you're working on, help you, whatever you have, we're here to kind of help you support your business kind of as your virtual assistant. So that's all. I think I covered most of the questions that we had today. If anybody else has any questions, make sure, let me see. How do you share documents or notes with a client that is not part of the proposal? Great question. So you can share your client dashboard with your client. So what that looks like, let me go ahead and share my screen with you again. And what that looks like is if I'm in a project, I can go ahead and share the dashboard with the client, okay? And the dashboard will look like this. Let me go into proposal. And this is really helpful. If you have any specific questions about your account, I will make sure to hook you up with your dedicated account manager. And for those of you who want to learn more about Ivy, you can click get your Ivy consultation in that green button, and that will direct you right to jumping on somebody's calendar. So right here, I can go ahead and I can get access to my client's dashboard. Let's preview this. And this is my client's dashboard. So this is everything that the client can see. They don't need a password to sign in. You would just share them on this link. They can save it forever. It's always the same link. And they'll be able to see outstanding proposals, invoices, closed proposals, invoices, and any attachments that you've attached right here. So that's super helpful. And I hope that answers your questions. You also have the ability to share room boards with your clients as well. All right. Well, thank you so much to everyone for joining. Again, I know I've seen the question come up a couple times. You will be able to catch a recording of this, no problem. You can use the same link, or if you registered for the webinar, we'll be sending out a link and an email with a thank you with the last 2 slides of the presentation. Awesome. Thank you so much, everybody. I really appreciate it and had so much fun learning so much with you this morning. Definitely go to ivy.co/webinars if you want to learn more about our other webinars. And thank you to Gala for being an awesome host today. Talk to you soon. Bye.